Always dancing. Always dancing. Hi, Rashana. Hey, everybody. How is everybody doing today? We're excited, right? Because we talk about speaking. This is a show of, we're always speaking, right, Rashana? So tonight, are you excited? Because we have somebody who's got a story about manifesting her call to speak and, her story about coming from Alaska.
I think it's going to inspire. Yes, I think it's going to inspire all of you guys to maybe get into public speaking or share your story or step up to the game. And I think we're in for a great show today.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we'll be right back and we'll see you in a few minutes. Well, hello. Welcome back. In case you're just tuning in, we are here with the show called SOW Victory Live. And in this episode, we will be having this conversation about from small town girl to 600 speaking gigs. 600!
That's a lot. That's of gigs. I wonder how long it took for her. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm really excited because I know you're a speaker. I speak a lot too. Well, most of the time I gap a lot, I call it, right? But it's fun to have somebody who's doing it professionally and inspiring other people. So, Rashana, I'm going to give this to you. Well, before that, I have to let everybody know what the show is all about, right? So I am going to do this quick intro for all of you to find out what SOW Victory Live is all about and when do we show up for all of you, and hopefully we'll hope to ignite some victories out there. We'll be right back. SOW Victory Live is all about sharing stories to ignite and inspire victories. We are here on Wednesdays, and our first, third, and fifth Wednesdays, we go live at 11 a.m. New York time, and second and fourth Wednesdays at 9 p.m. New York time. And you can get all this information at sowvictory.com/talk-show. Now, after the live broadcast, you're invited to join us in a post-show meet and greet where you can engage and have more intimate conversations with our cast members and guests. You can go to live.sowvictory.com and join us in our studio lounge for the meet and greet. We'll see you then. Yay! Okay, we're excited because I love a good story, and we're going to be sharing some pictures, right, Rashana? The show is all about sharing pictures too. In case you've never watched any of our shows, we have our guests share like 10 images so that they can tell you their stories. So I'm going to push this over to Rashana because I know she's getting ready to bring our guests up.
I'm super excited to bring our guest today. So I'm going to go ahead and share her bio here. So meet our guest, Leisa Reid, as the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now and the OC Speakers Network. Leisa Reid coaches heart-centered professionals how to get booked and attract their clients through speaking. As a speaker herself, Leisa has booked and delivered over 600 speaking gigs. How amazing is that? Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome Leisa Reid.
Whoop, whoop. Hi, Leisa. Whoa, welcome to the SOW Victory Live stage. We are excited because with every guest, Leisa, we always look forward to the images and pictures that our guests will be sharing on screen while talking and sharing a story. And we always are mesmerized by the pictures, and then we'll see the before, after, or here's where I came from. This is where I'm heading. And it's always fun. And it really does ignite victories at the end. And you know what? We're going to get you started and we'll come back, right? We'll come back and maybe ask you a few questions. How's that sound, Leisa?
Sounds perfect.
Leisa says no pressure here, ladies.
No pressure. Just be amazing.
All right, here we go, everybody. Here's Leisa Reid.
All right. So we are starting in Fairbanks, Alaska, where I was raised. This is me and my dad in my front yard. I lived there from 2 years old to 18. And I was raised with my dad as my mentor, soulmate, best friend. He was an amazing man, and he was a hypnotist. And so I got to also learn a lot about entrepreneurialism from him. He would have a TV show, a commercial. He would be on the radio. He would have open houses in hotels and sell tapes and books and have workshops. I actually even got to go into his 12-week workshop when I was in high school. So I learned a lot, not just about life, but about business from my dad. And I also learned a lot about growing up in Alaska. You have to be really, I would say, tough to grow up there. That snow is real. It is not fake. I've been in 65 below weather. I've dug myself out of ditches. And I was dreaming of moving to sunny Southern California, which is exactly what happened. So my whole life, I was called to be a teacher. I think I wanted to be a gymnastics teacher. I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher. And when I went to college at Cal State Fullerton in Orange County, California, yay, finally the sun. My first day of college, I'm sitting there in interpersonal communication class, my general ed class, and I found out I could major in speech communication. I called my mom. I said, Mom, I'm going to change my major. This is like the first day of college. She's like, well, hold on a second. Maybe just take one business class, which was my official major at the time. Take one business class and see how it goes. I did do that. I dropped that business class. It was accounting. Now I hire accountants. And I changed my major to speech comm, got my bachelor's and my master's degree in that, and even taught there for 2 years while I was in grad school. So I was able to teach that exact class, interpersonal communication, at the age of 22 to 24. So then I'm getting my master's degree. I've got all this experience of what I think is experience. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? I don't know if you've ever had that feeling of like, well, what direction do I go in? So long story short, ended up in sales, but it was education sales. I always believed that education was something you couldn't take away from someone, right? It's like once you have that knowledge, you can't take it away. So I was a director of education for a college, director of admissions for a university. I also owned my own business. I had a storefront. I had real estate. We invested real estate. So we did all these things. And meanwhile, the whole time I'm still like thinking, gosh, I really just want to train. I want to teach. I want to coach. Like that was what was in my heart, but I didn't really know like how to jump ship from my, longstanding career in education. So I had some personal challenges around 2008-9, and I started to search for some personal development, some answers. And on that journey, I was introduced to a personal development company. I had massive results with this company, right? So they came to me and they said, well, we would love for you to teach people in the community about mindset and then bring them into our workshops. Would you be interested in that conversation? And it was as if everything started to align, like all the things I learned from my dad and the subconscious thinking and the power of thinking. I'm like, I would love to teach people that. Are you kidding me? I was what you call ignorance on fire. I didn't know how to do the job, but I knew I was going to do it, right? So they said, here's your talk that we've developed for you. Now you just need to go out and tell as many people and get as many people into the workshop. So I was tasked with filling 10 workshops a year, of which I did 30 people. And I just would speak wherever I could. And I will say, ignorance on fire is better than perfection on ice any day of the week, right? Because you got to be moving. And if you're excited about something, you can do it. I will tell you this. I started with 0 speaking engagements, 0 clients, no email list, and I booked 83 speaking engagements in that very first year in my local area. Okay, so I want you to just wrap your head around that, because anyone can do this. You don't have to have a bachelor's and a master's degree in speech communication to do that. I just had passion. I was really excited about what I was going to teach people, because I knew that if they took those workshops, it was really going to help them. And I think that's a really cool part of it, right? Like if you're doing something that you know is going to help transform people's lives, that's so powerful. Now, I will say that in that first year, it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears getting those 83 speaking gigs. So I was like, okay, there's got to be an easier way to do this. I was raised with my dad being an entrepreneur. I'm like, this could be more fun. This could be easier. How can I get my results quicker but still get the same kind of numbers. And I started something called the OC Speakers Network. It stands for Orange County. We used to literally meet across the street from the beach back before the pandemic, and we would meet in person. So it was just for people in Orange County. And it was a way for people to connect other speakers, to connect, collaborate, get educated, learn. I knew that if I developed relationships with other speakers, then they could probably introduce me to the people that they were speaking for, and I could introduce them to the people that I was speaking for. And we kind of all put our toys in the middle and get to play, right? To me, that was way more fun. So that was back in 2013. And there was nothing like that at the time. There was no Facebook Live. There was all these things that we just didn't have. We don't have what we have now. And so I started a meetup group, and everybody would come, and it would just grow and grow and grow. Now, this made my job a lot easier because now I was able to get referrals a little bit easier without having to work all by myself. And through that, one of the biggest treasures came, and it was called my speaker soulmate came into my life. And this is someone who is like, I'm really close to, I trust her, I refer her a lot, she refers me a lot. And guess what? She has referred me over 100 speaking engagements. That means I didn't have to look for them. I didn't have to search high and low. And I have a few speaker soulmates now, but this one, I still meet with her regularly. And it's something that I teach about it in my talks. I'm like, it doesn't have to be that hard. You don't have to know thousands of people. You don't have to come from a big city. You just have to be able to develop that relationship and be there for that person. And don't be afraid to give, right? At the OC Speakers Network, we do something called speaker referral circles, where I literally walk you through, like, this is how you would ask for a referral. This is how you would give a referral. Sometimes people will get real scared and they don't want to give out their stuff. But I'm like, if you give someone something, they're going to feel like they want to give back to you, right? So meanwhile, I had started the Speakers Network, and all these people, speakers all over, were asking me for help. Because by then I had booked about 150 gigs or so. And I kept saying, I don't have time to teach you all that I know. I don't know how I got all these gigs. I just did what I did, right? Well, this guy, he asked me one day, I'm on the phone with him, and he said, tell me about your speaking coaching business. I'm like, I don't have a speaking coaching business. And I hung up the phone. I thought, wait a second. I think I'm supposed to have that. Like, everyone keeps asking me for help. Apparently I'm doing something that they don't know how to do. So I started writing everything down, and that's what I teach in my Speakers Training Academy. It's literally like all the things that I did to go from 0 to 80, right? And then keep getting booked consistently. I usually average about 60, 70 a year. Pandemic, no pandemic, same thing, right? I'll explain that in just a second. But my company, Get Speaking Gigs Now, came out of people asking, they wanted to speak, but they wanted to tell more people, transform our lives. So this is the book that came out. This is a funny story. It came out January 2020, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like, do we need to change anything? You know, March 2020 comes around and the whole thing's changed. What's going on? And I look back at it and I go, actually, it was all very, very, very similar. I mean, except for you don't need to bring like a projector and a screen and all that. But other than that, everything, all the other strategies I teach are the same. And the good news is, if you're thinking about being a speaker, is that if you want to speak virtually, all you need to do is click the button. You don't have to have a ton of stuff. You don't have to print out flyers or anything like that. You just need your link. I mean, you need a talk still. You need to get your talk ready to rock. Obviously, you need that. But there's so many opportunities. You can speak internationally. You could speak among different states. You can speak multiple times in a day. I've done that before. So honestly, I think there's a lot of times with speakers or people who want to be speakers, there's this calling that we have. And that's a common thing that I'll hear from people. Like, I just feel called to speak. Like, I just know I should be up there. And if that's you, I say go for it. You don't have to wait. You don't have to be a certain age. You don't have to have a certain degree. You just have to have that passion to help other people, help transform lives. That's really what you need to be able to do. And so for me, I'm always like, how can I give value to my audience and then value to my business, right? And I think that also comes from that being raised in a small town. Like, I want to help people, you know, and I also want to provide for my family too, right? But it's a beautiful process of giving and taking. But answer that call. Answer that call if you are feeling called to speak, because it doesn't go to everybody. So if it's you, that means you have something to say, and it's probably really valuable, and you could change someone else's life.
That's
Boom,
amazing. That's incredible. Oh my
boom.
goodness. Oh my
I
goodness. That is just I love how you say the ignorance is on fire between the perfectionists. And that is just such a powerful I got that and I'm like mesmerized. Hey, this is amazing. Thank you so much, Lisa, for
You're
this
welcome.
beautiful, beautiful presentation. I do have a question for you.
Sure.
So, how long did it take you to finally feel that you have mastered to be a speaker?
I don't know if I ever will feel like I've mastered being a speaker. I'm going to confess. My first big speaking engagement when I was in junior high school. So if you're international, that means like about 12 years old, in front of my entire junior high. And it was an assembly, and I had to teach about seatbelt safety, which is not the most exciting thing that other 12-year-olds want to hear about, right? But although I was nervous, I remember being really excited. And my dad was my speaker coach, actually. He helped me and my partner come up with a funny educational way to talk about seatbelt safety. So I've never been one of those people who's afraid to speak, but I do think it's important to know what you're going to say. So that helps a lot, practicing.
I tell you, just by looking at the pictures that you shared with us, and I just want to put this up again because I think it's kind of important to kind of visualize where you came from, right? Because I'm looking at this picture and I'm thinking, wow, Fairbanks, Alaska, right? Daughter of a hypnotist and who does a lot of speaking. How can one not be inspired to maybe have a calling in the speaking arena? So, Lisa, do you feel that your dad has been your sole inspiration of this call to speak? Because I don't know what the speaking arena or space looks like in Alaska, but there must have been something
Yeah.
that your dad did to kind of get you like, I want to be a speaker? So do you feel that your dad has been or was your inspiration to speak?
He always was my biggest cheerleader, and so was my mom. They both were teachers. So it's funny, even though I am a speaker and I'm a speaker coach and I help speakers, it's really, for me, it's more about teaching than speaking. I don't want to be like the rock star who's everyone's looking at me all the time and get all the attention. I really am there to, like, no, if I can provide value, I'm in. Like, if there's
Mm-hmm.
people who want to learn what I can offer, I'll give you all that I got. But definitely my dad was a huge inspiration. I mean, he would make his tapes, this was back, cassette tapes. He would make his meditation
I
tapes,
remember those
and he
days
would
of cassette
have the,
tapes.
the
Oh my
real to
God.
real thing on there. And he would do this,
Yes.
this gong, right? Well, those
Yes.
big silver, so I've never revealed this publicly. So those big silver bowls, like the nesting bowls, like the big salad bowl.
The
He
Uh-huh.
would
big ones.
boom,
Yes.
he
And
would
then
do
with
that,
it.
and that
Yes.
was the gong on the
Yes.
meditation thing. I was like, wow,
Right.
you got to work with what you have.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. No, I think, for each and every one of us, I was just look at this, right? Because I'm looking at the picture. That's you and your dad. There must be some form of inspiration there that you just like, oh, I love what my dad is doing and I'm inspired by what he does. So, and I think, I mean, I was just going to ask this question, but I was like, do you think he hypnotized you into speaking?
Oh, that's so funny. No, no, but he was definitely like, here's what I did get from him. Well, yes, he taught me how to hypnotize myself. Like, he would, like, I had this little hamster that would, gnaw on the cage, and I sometimes had a hard time sleeping. So he'd say, every time you hear the little hamster, go into deeper relaxation. Every time you hear it,
Wow.
go deeper, deeper. So as a little kid, I was already like, okay. And he'd be like, imagine you're a little dewdrop on the leaf of the flower, and the sun is coming up, and you're just a little drop falling down. So there was a lot of great stuff I learned as a kid. I mean, a lot of great stuff. But he always said, do what makes your heart sing.
Mm.
Yep.
And that's what I tell
Love
my
it.
clients. I think sometimes, even like when we're entrepreneurs, we get so like, I have to do this, I have to do that. Now I need to do more of this and more. I go, whoa, hold on. Yes, there's things you need to do, but like, what are you really pulled to do? What do you love doing? Listen to
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
And that's
Mhm.
been a
Yeah.
really great guiding light for me.
I love that. I love that you actually noticed that. Well, before that, I just want to say quickly, hello to Chitachi who's watching it. I know she's in California. Oh, well, she's actually in North Carolina. April is from Oregon, and Rikshana says yes. And Lisa, hi Lisa, hello, hello. Well, I want to invite each and every one of you, in case you're watching, if in case you don't know this, after the show, when the live cameras go off and we all can breathe a little bit more and go like, whew, cameras off, but you can still join us post show in the post-show meet and greet. All right, you can go to live.sowvictory.com and join all three of us for a more intimate conversation, because it'll be more fun, because when we talk a little bit more intimate stuff, because we can like dig into the hole a little bit more, rabbit hole, and ask more fun questions. But you know what, before we do that, before we come back, I know Shana has another question, but I'm just going to take a quick 10 seconds intermission and we'll be right back. All right, Rikshana, I know you have a pressing question.
I have lots of questions, but I'll ask one question. Lisa, for those people who are like, getting into, speaking, arena, I hear like in the speaking world, like you can't make money off it. And do you believe that that is just a fact, or is that just kind of like what is it called? A story that they've created, that there is such thing as, there is a future in the speaking industry, or there is no future in the speaking industry, or is that
my gosh, that's like saying like, does the internet work or not? I don't think so. Well, if you don't have a computer, the internet's not going to help you very much, right? Yeah. Yeah, you can do so many things, but I will say it really does pay to help cut the mistakes out if you can. Like if you're trying to figure it out on your own, you could figure it out. It just takes a little bit longer. I was lucky enough to have been hired by a company who already had a talk ready for me. They already had their program set up. I didn't have to come up with all that on my own. And I got constant feedback on every single talk I did and all the results that I did. So I had so much support. And that's why I try to provide that for my clients. I know how hard it is when you're figuring it out. I had a call with a lady today. She said, I've made zero money from speaking. I said, oh my gosh, I wish I got my hands on you earlier, because that's horrible. And it's not okay. Like that's not okay.
Yeah.
So if that's if someone's out there listening and they're like, yeah, I've been trying to speak and it's not working. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, like when you're baking and you add too many ingredients or take too many ingredients away, you don't know what you're like, well, was it this or was it that? That's what happens to speakers. And they're trying to figure it out. They're like, oh, maybe it wasn't my talk. Maybe it was my outfit. Maybe it was the audience. Maybe it was this. Maybe you're trying to guess all the things that, where did I go wrong? So that's where you got to bring in that outside support. And you're like, I can see where I can literally see, I'm like, oh, okay. Oh dear. No.
Well, you have a fan already. So April Young saying, "Ooh, I have to run when the show is over, but we'll love to connect with Lisa."
Yeah,
there you go. Definitely connect with Lisa after that. I do have one more thing, because you did mention about the speaker soulmate, right? So my thought is, oh, that's cool. Is your strategy of a speaker soulmate is the strategy that got you to the delivering 600 speaking gigs?
It's what I consider the number one secret to having consistent bookings, because the mistake that people make is that especially women, let's be honest here, we have to do everything ourselves, all by ourselves, take everything on, figure it out alone, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not true. Mm-hmm. When you're surrounded,
I know. We have to break that habit, people.
Yeah. Well, and then we already have the gift of that. If you imagine, most women, not everyone, but have that circle of friends, and you're like, oh, I couldn't live without my girlfriends. I couldn't do everything. I need that support. If you kind of take that part of you and go, wow, what would that be like if I use that in business? Mm-hmm. That would be a game changer, and it could be fun. Why not? Mm-hmm. Life's too short not to have fun.
Yeah,
I agree. Anything else, Rishana? I know we have a few more minutes, but we want to remind everybody again, right after the show, when the cameras go off, we're live right here. We do have a post-show meet and greet. Oh, sorry, wrong slide right here. Just go to live.sowvictory.com and come hang out with all three of us, because we'll have a conversation. I just want to say a quick shout out to Shannon, who's actually watching in, also Connie, who's watching in, and I just want to say hello, welcome everybody. I was just looking at your pictures. I was really amazed by the fact that your journey from Alaska to where you are today, that must have been a great journey. And I think your dad has been a great inspiration in what you're doing today.
Absolutely.
Totally true.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me ask you, how hard was it, or how challenging was it to set up the OC Speakers Network?
It wasn't challenging at all. Again, I think when you start to lean into your natural abilities, I love connecting. I had already been a great networker, had a lot of contacts, been very active in the community. So I'm like, if I just put this out there, people are going to come, because I knew I needed it. I bet other people needed it too. And then I was consistent. A lot of times I've talked to people who they're like, well, I started a meetup, but it didn't really work. No one came. And I'm like, well, there were times where I had 2 people there, but guess what?
Yep.
You got to keep doing it. If you like it, again, if you like it and you're enjoying it, but being consistent, like it's been the first Tuesday of the month, every single month from 1 to 3, every single month.
Yeah.
2013.
Yes. Yeah. So, and I think also that, they do say that, if you can't find a community that you fit in, then create one. And that's exactly what you did. You created a community because you can find one. Yeah. And it's beautiful to hear that story, and very inspiring for those people who are having a hard time to fit into other communities, and then they can create their own community that fits, and then they can invite other people who are like, by inconsistency, doing it every once a week at this time, so that way when the word is passed around, it's consistent all around. I love that.
Yep. Yeah, and we used to have live, it was in person and everything, but now it's just virtual. It makes it easier.
Yes, absolutely. And no excuse for everybody who wants to speak, right? Because you can just turn it on and go start speaking. And I know one of our viewers here, Leisa Reid, who actually is watching in right now, she was inspired by doing a lot more videos, and she's doing a lot more talking. I said, keep on doing, because somebody's going to notice you, and somebody's going to invite you to speak, and that's the beauty of it. And I tell people, it's just like a billboard. You show up, you show up to that billboard, you just start talking, and then you get seen, you get heard. And just like what you said, Leisa, is the art of really just showing up, whether it's one person or 2 persons, you just show up for the other people. Eventually, there will be a presence. And I think that is so true for everything that we do. And that's when, you'll get more opportunities. Yeah.
I also say, be ready to be ready. Like you've got to get your talk. My first step is always say, get your talk ready to rock. Because if you want to be a speaker and you say you're a speaker, the first question someone's going to say is, oh, great. Well, what do you speak on? And if you're like a deer in the headlights and don't have an answer, you're already kind of failing before you get started. So you really want to be able to set yourself up for success and be ready to take those opportunities when someone says, oh, I need a guest for my podcast, or, oh, well, we would love to have you speak. I want everyone in my circle to be able to, here you go, here's my stuff. When do you need me? You got to be ready to say yes.
Be ready.
Absolutely. Be ready, show up consistently.
I know. You're a speaker. Show me your speaker. Here's your speaker.
Yes.
You're all ready. All your topic ready. I love that. Yeah.
That's your stepping stone to get to 600 speaking gigs, people.
Somewhere. Boom. How do you get to 600? You do 1 and then 2. And,
you do 1 and then another 1 and another 1. And I really love that you mentioned about the speaker soulmate. And I think many of us don't necessarily think about it that way, right? But doing that, you actually have other people doing the work also for you, recommending you, giving opening doors for you, more opportunities. You don't have to do it alone. Like you said, you don't have to do it alone, So it's great to have a speaker soulmate. Last words before we go to our audience, Leisa.
Do it. Like get yourself ready. If you want to reach out to me, you can find me on getspeakinggigsnow.com. I think we'll put some links somewhere for you. We've got some free stuff for you. I'd love to speak with you if that's something that is a dream of yours. If not now, when? I mean, someday is not a day on the calendar. Let's get this party started.
The other Lisa says, "Oh, I better get writing."
Yes,
She goes
please.
like, "Zeph is my inspiration." Oh, thank you, Lisa. But you're doing great on your own, anyways. But I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. And if you're still around, and I don't know where everybody is, you're probably doing your breakfast, you're probably doing your lunch, you're probably like heading to bed shortly for all of us right here. But I just want to say, if you have a little time, come and join us. We're right here, going to meet up in our social lounge for the post-show meet and greet. So come join us and have a little bit more fun and intimate conversation. Bring your snack, bring your favorite beverage. We don't care. Come join us and have a little bit more fun. I just want to say thank you so much, Lisa, for coming on the show and sharing your story and inspiring all our audiences out there, right? Igniting more victories out there, right, Rushana?
Yes, thank you, Lisa, for your inspiration talk today. It was very, very helpful.
Thank you for hosting.
Make sure to come and join us so that you can get the links to connect with Lisa too after this. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next show of SOW Victory Live. Until next time, goodbye.